Alright, I'm just making this video because in the future, if you happen to be in an argument or any kind of discussion with another fellow communist, or at least someone that calls himself a communist, you might want to be prepared for this. As I was explaining my beliefs, or at least my end goal, to some people on Reddit, one of these people just came out of nowhere and said that I sound more like a National Socialist. Now, at first I was offended, because I take that seriously. I take that literally, and I do not support racial separations. I do not believe in eugenics per se. I do not believe in the very foundations of National Socialism. I am opposed to nationalism. Now, mind you, a lot of so-called communists nowadays are liberal socialists, or as Maoist Rebel would say, Trotskyites. That's like the slur to say to them. And of course, they're going to misconstrue the concepts of radical communism, Marxist-Leninism, Stalinism even, Maoism, things like that. But the thing here is that it cannot be National Socialist in its nature. If anything, your liberal socialism is closer to National Socialism than my interpretation of Marxist-Leninism, and I will explain. They think I'm leaning more towards this reactionary, totalitarian socialism like the Nazis, like the National Bolshevists, like the Stalinists, because of my beliefs. Authoritarianism wouldn't in and of itself make you a Nazi or a Stalinist or anything like that. It is nationalism. While indeed nationalism and authoritarianism go hand in hand, it is the symptom, not the problem. The problem is the separation between one class of people and another. That some class of people need more liberation more desperately than some other classes of people. The class struggle then becomes something about race, religion, or some identity rather than the extinguishment of capital ownership. The only class war is between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Anything else is nationalism, even if it's under the facade of egalitarianism, equality, etc. So because of this, liberal democracy, liberal socialism leans more toward that reactionary National Socialism in that they validate that somehow gays are more oppressed than straights, that somehow blacks are more oppressed than whites. While indeed this might be true to some extent, because in a capitalist society, they are going to distinguish us based off race and religion and class and things like that. They're going to make up classes. They're naturally going to make up groups to put us under so that we continually worry about those group titles rather than the fact that we're poor, they're rich, they have the power, we don't, and they're going to tell us what to do. That's what it really comes all down to. The other shit just is irrelevant. And while they may argue that my use of a powerful state to achieve the end goal might seem totalitarian in nature, that in and of itself does not make me a National Socialist. In order for me to be a National Socialist, I would have to believe in nationalism. I would either have to believe in the preservation of my race, I would have to believe in the cultural dominance of my religion, I would have to believe that somehow my national origin is better than somebody else's, or at the very least it needs to be distinguished from. It needs to be preserved. It needs to be protected. The motherland. And I don't care about my national origin. I do not define myself by where I was born, how I was born, what the color of my skin was, what religion my parents raised me under, or anything like that. Therefore, I cannot be National Socialist. And some people are going to just disagree with that, brush that off as, oh, that's not how it works. But really, how else would you define the National Socialist? That's nationalism, and that's using socialist politics in order to achieve nationalism. Not all nationalism has to be capitalism, but nationalism naturally gravitates toward capitalism. Nationalism feeds capitalism by the nature of the class war, because it creates more class wars. It creates more class wars by more distinguishments, which means in turn higher and lower people. It means in turn that you're going to have one group of people that's the losers and one group of people that's the winners. And whether or not you're the losers and mad about it, or you're the winners and want to continue to be the winners, the issue here is that nationalism creates the environment necessary for capitalism to flourish. And that is why I am grotesquely opposed to nationalism, and why at first I was severely offended that he would accuse me of being at all National Socialist. But then I got to thinking about it, and I just realized this is a liberal socialist. To him, anything that doesn't agree with him is a Nazi. So there's really not much I can do, other than explain to you the details of it. Yes, while indeed we should not have authoritarianism, we should not have totalitarianism, we should be able to have a state that, through proxy, can achieve the workers' revolution, and then, after a while, fade away in existence, and we no longer need it. We can toss it away and live, as equals, without the rule of law, without the rule of an iron fist government, without one class of people defining the law over another class of people merely voting them in or whatever. Yes, that would be nice, and I believe we can achieve that. I believe that eventually, in time, society could transition into that. But it will take time, it will take patience, and it will take strategy in order to achieve that. You're not going to wake up one day and just, communism's going to be here. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. You may not even see it in your lifetime. And unfortunately, some people are not prepared for that realistic perspective. They are not prepared to just have the truth slammed in their face where, no, you're probably not going to in your life see a communist country, let alone a communist world. But you can make little baby steps toward progress. You can make baby steps towards liberation. That's the point of why I fight moderators. Because I want to liberate the internet. I want us to be able to freely have access to any information on the web. And we can communicate with anyone across the planet at will, with no one to tell us otherwise. That way, we have infinite education. And with infinite education will become infinite enlightenment. And with infinite enlightenment, capitalism will decay. It will not be able to survive when the workers of the world unite under the common banter of free speech and free information, because then they will know better. That is the point of why I fight moderators. You might disagree that it doesn't work that way, or somehow it wouldn't end to that conclusion. But you cannot accuse me of being a nationalist. I might be a lot of things, but a nationalist is not one of them. And I just feel that needs to be said, because I know, in your own arguments, you're going to come across people that accuse you of being a Nazi, and you're going to get defensive, and rightfully so. You've gone your whole life believing what you believe for someone to just label you as a Nazi, and we all know what that entails. Nobody wants to be a Nazi. Not even Nazis want to be Nazis. And it just demeans what you say. It's degrading. It's basically like calling you nigger. So, that's... And, some people get offended by the way I use racial slurs. But you know what? I have a reason to. And I know some people would say there's never a good reason or anything like that, but that's because I ultimately believe in freedom of speech. And I believe a lot of people, even people that are offended, would agree with me. That if you use a word in its proper context, that they understand where you're coming from. And some people might never understand. Some people might never understand why I say the things I say or do the things I do. But I gotta try. Because what else are you gonna live for? All you have in life is your liberty. All you have in life is what you can do and what you can discover and what you can achieve. And, you can't hope for anything else. Life ain't gonna give you anything else. Life is terrible. Life is just full of struggle and turmoil and bullshit and lies and indoctrination, and people are constantly drilling that shit down your throat all the fucking time. And just for once, think about what it is that you think could make the world a better place. And if that means me having to offend the entire fucking world, then so be it. Maybe that'll wake you up. Maybe when you get mad enough, you'll realize that Jim Prophet's offensive material isn't your problem. The problem is the world. The problem is the culture. The problem goes far deeper than this individual. It's your fact that you accept this world. You accept the way it is, and you continue to go to work, and you continue to live your useless life, just toiling away on the fields or whatever it is you do for a living, and just waiting to die. That's the problem. I'm not your problem. I'm not affecting you. The only way I can affect you is if you're in that emotional state where it allows me to affect you. So, get your priorities in order. Get your fucking priorities in order. Learn what it is that you think would make us a freer society, and get to work. That's all I can tell you. And if you want to continue to believe that I'm a National Socialist, that I'm a racist, I'm a homophobe, I'm apparently everything, then fine, whatever. Because you know what? They say that about all the people that have tried to do some good for society. They said that about Mao. They said that about Stalin. They said that about Lenin. They say it about fucking everybody. Even Mother Teresa they make shit up about, and she never hurt a fly. So, there's no winning with people like that. All you can do is try to do what you can to make the world more positive than when you left it. So, I guess that's all I have to say here, is that, you know, I don't even know how to argue with these people. They're just going to say whatever comes to mind. They don't even think about it. They don't even understand the implications of the belief they're projecting onto other people. I mean, really, do I actually sound like a nationalist to you? And if I do, I apologize, because I don't want to sound like a nationalist, because I'm not. So, what else can I tell you? So, I guess that's